Another edition of Hucks on Pucks. First round of the playoffs. Did the Western Conference last time. So now we have to do the East, obviously. Gonna start again, 1 versus 8. Penguins, Islanders. Now, on paper, this is really very much the Penguins series. Now, they have Crosby coming back. They have Malkin. They loaded up at the deadline with Morrow and Iginla. They're Pittsburgh's friggin' stacked. There's no two ways about it. Pittsburgh are a very formidable team. But I think this series is going to be decent. Don't write that down as me picking the Islanders, because I'm not. But the Islanders have been playing fantastic hockey of late. And obviously, Malkin, Crosby get all the love in the world, and they deserve it. But John Tavares has really made a case for himself as most valuable player in the league. Of course, having Matt Molson constantly banging in 30 on your other side, it's not going to hurt. But I think the Islanders are going to be able to at least keep this a lot closer than people realize. You know, Pittsburgh has the edge in pretty much everything. Really, the only big weakness on Pittsburgh is their penalty killing is actually really bad. The Islanders aren't great either, but the Penguins' penalty killing is bad. However, the Penguins have a healthy edge in face-offs. Their power play is absolutely deadly. And the Islanders' penalty killing, like I said, is not much better than Pittsburgh's. It's better, but not a lot. However, in goal, I do like the Islanders more. Things rarely anyone says. Playoff time, I feel a little safer with Nabokov than I do with Fleury. I know he's been to the finals twice. He's won a Stanley Cup. But aside from those years, Marc-Andre Fleury's playoff numbers are not good. They're not good at all. So I know I'm crazier for and I'm thinking the Islanders might have a bit of an advantage in goal. And I know the Penguins can always go to Vokoun if they want to, but I don't think they will. There's really no good reason to think this is going to be a good series. But I think the Islanders are going to stretch it to 6. I'm not picking them to win it. That would just be goofy. But I think the Islanders can at least take a couple from Pittsburgh. But I'm still going to pick Pittsburgh in 6. Pittsburgh has way too many advantages. And also, they probably have last year's playoffs on their mind, where against the Flyers they played one of the stupidest playoff series that a team has ever played in the history of hockey. I don't think the Islanders are going to be able to frustrate the Penguins like the Flyers did. Like I said, maybe Marc-Andre Fleury is as bad as he was last year, but I don't see that happening. So I'm going to give the Islanders a bit of credit, but I'm still going to say the Penguins in 6. Alright, now the 2 over 7 matchup. Ottawa and Montreal. Hard to say because Montreal have not been playing well lately, which makes me nervous. And where these teams are actually very much they're mirror images. Montreal, one of the better offenses in the league. Defensively, but Carey Price has been shaky lately, although they do have PK Subban on the blue line, which helps out quite a bit because he's been absolutely fantastic this year. Canadians, they have a great offensive team. Ottawa does not score a lot of goals. They've had a lot of trouble scoring. Montreal gives up goals. Ottawa doesn't. Montreal has a great power play. The Senators don't. Montreal has pretty bad penalty killing. The Senators have the best penalty killing in the league. Even in the face-off department, the two teams were both shade below 500, so well, obviously one of them's going to have to top 50% in this series. But it's going to be interesting. Like I said, Montreal's strength is all on offense. Ottawa's strength is all on defense. It's going to be one of those series. And I really got to lean towards Montreal. I'm going to say Montreal in 7, though. I think the Senators are really going to give them a tough time. And at some point, Montreal's probably going to get into penalty trouble because Chris Neil is going to do something where they're just going to want to murder him. Because he's Chris Neil, and if you play hockey, you want to murder Chris Neil because he's got it coming. Incredibly aggravating player. I think he's probably going to be the key to the whole series. That and special teams. Ottawa, as great as Ottawa's penalty killing is, if they start taking penalties, this is going to be a short series. I think they'll be able to keep it together. Montreal hasn't been playing great of late. So, I'm thinking this one's probably going to be Montreal in 7. I think it's going to be... It may not be the most exciting series, but I think these are two teams who match up in an interesting way. They're not balanced teams. Each team handles one side of the puck very well. So it's going to be a battle of opposites. And those usually tend to go... Those are rarely short series. So, yeah. I'm going to pick Montreal in 7. Now, the matchup I most care about is the 3 vs. 6. Because I'm a Rangers fan. That's, may as well just declare the bias right then and there. Offensively, hey, the Caps have the advantage. I can't deny that. Although since the trade deadline, the Rangers were 30th in the league in goals. They moved up to 17th by the end of the season. Offensively, Rangers have been pretty hot. Led mainly by Derek Stepan and Rick Nash. Nash is a great finisher. He's the big name. Derek Stepan's been amazing this year for the Rangers. Nash has been streaky. When he's hot, he's unstoppable, but he's been kind of streaky. Stepan game in and game out has just been phenomenal. He's been a revelation this year. He really has. Also, they're actually fairly good down the middle with Brad Richards is the highest paid third line center of all time. And it's another thing that helps out the Rangers. He's finally coming around. You got Stepan, you got Derek Brassard. He's never played in the playoffs before, but I like the Rangers down the middle a lot. Obviously, when you talk about the Caps, you gotta talk about Ovechkin. He is a scary man. And down the middle, Caps are just as formidable as the Rangers. You know, Nick Backstrom, he's got a 100-point season or two to his credit. Plays with Ovechkin. Mike Ribeiro has been fantastic on the second line for them all year long. So this Caps team is a little more balanced than previous ones. Again, we have another battle of opposites. Rangers' penalty killing is solid. Caps have the best power play in the league. But while the Rangers' penalty killing isn't one of the top units, this team doesn't take a lot of penalties. And they better keep that up, because if it's a parade to the box, they're going to get destroyed. You know, Ovechkin's just going to score power play goal after power play goal. They're going to get rocked if they don't play a smart series. Defensively, this plays more to the Rangers' strength. They're a more defensive team. Caps play a little more freewheeling. Not quite like they used to with Bruce Boudreau, but they don't worry about letting Braden Holtby bail them out. And after a really bad start, honestly, he's been pretty good for them. But, yeah, they're not the best defensive team. Rangers, very solid defensively. And they've been missing their best defenseman, Mark Stahl, for quite a while now. I mean, Ryan McDonough, he's come down since last year. But after a rough start, he's still been pretty good. Dan Girardi's been kind of an adventure for the Rangers. He's been kind of brutal, to be honest. He makes me nervous. But another saving grace of the Gaborik deal ever since coming over, John Moore has been fantastic. Brassard's been damn good for the Rangers. John Moore might be the best part of that trade, especially since Derek Dorsett is yet to put on the skates. So, even though Ovechkin won't be facing his nemesis, Mark Stahl, I kind of feel like the Rangers can still work around that. Also, it helps that Rangers make a mistake. You've got the reigning Vezina winner back there, Henrik Lundqvist. And after a slow start, he put together a great season. He really did. You know, he was white hot down the stretch. So, that's one thing the Rangers have in their favor. Also, their Rangers' power play has been improved. It's not nearly as good as the Caps, but it has been improving rather steadily of late. Caps' penalty killing is atrocious. So not that you want to turn this into a special teams series if you're the Rangers, but if the Caps start playing undisciplined, Rangers can win this. It's not like previous years where you didn't worry if you took penalties against the Rangers, because what were they going to do? They were happy to not give up a shorthanded goal. Of late, they've had a working power play. I think a lot of this is due to the reacquisition of Matt Zuccarello, who unfortunately was injured last year for the playoffs. He is an absolute wizard in the offensive zone. You know, small guy, not afraid to play though. You know, he's not afraid of the tough areas, and fantastic vision. He's been really good for the Rangers. Like I said, this is probably a homer pick, but between having the better defense, I think the Rangers have edges in defense and goaltending. And I don't think the Caps' edge up front is as pronounced as it looks on paper. Don't get me wrong. They've got the best offensive player in the series. Much as I love you, Rick Nash, Ovechkin is back to being Ovechkin. Like I said, the Caps are deeper up front than they've normally been. But and like I said, this is probably a homer pick on my part. I apologize for my lack of objectivity. I think it's going to be the Rangers in 6. I really do. I mean, if the Caps beat them, I won't be surprised. I'll be plenty pissed, but I really do think the Rangers can beat this Capitals team. Alright, finally. Bruins Maple Leafs. The numbers, if you look at all those, they're not too bad. Bruins are better defensively. Leafs are better offensively. Leafs have a much better power play. The Bruins' power play is very weak. In fact, they've also been having a lot of trouble scoring 5-on-5 lately. So the Leafs do have an edge on the power play. Penalty killing, the Leafs actually have a slight edge there. The Leafs have been fantastic penalty killers this year, something they're certainly not used to. I think don't mind me. The Bruins have a superior defense. Although it's not like previous years where you look at the Leafs defense and go, no, they're not pushovers. You're not going to strafe them anymore. Dion Phaneuf has been having a fantastic year for them. I think the Bruins do have a significant edge on defense. I think, I don't think they have any edge in goal, but honestly, Reimer's, he's not playoff tested, but he has been damn good for them. He's seriously been he's been in the Vezina conversation with good reason. I know Rask probably would get the nod over him, but Reimer's been great. Like I said, the only significant edge on special teams is Toronto does have a much better power play. However, they are going to have a problem in one area. Bruins are the best face-off team in the league. Leafs are about average, so they're going to have issues on draws. Also, the Leafs are... Bruins are an older team. They've been through the playoffs. You know how they're going to react. The Leafs really are largely untested. That doesn't mean they're not going to be good. Far from it. But they have a lot of guys who haven't been in a playoff atmosphere. Also doesn't help that Nazem Kadri, who really was carrying this team for a little while, has not been good down the stretch. Phil Kessel's playoff history isn't great. What little of it there is, he hasn't been there much. That said, I think James Van Riemsdyk is going to have to be huge for Boston. Especially because the playoffs, everything gets nastier, it slows down more. Especially against a team like the Bruins. And Kessel's a perimeter player. He's not a power forward. He's not going to be the second coming of Cam Neely. He's just not a physical player at all. Which could be kind of worrisome. It's also going to be a nasty series. The Bruins are a very tough team, as are the Leafs. These are two teams that really like to take the body, really have no issues fighting at all. I know it was very lopsided in the. It's actually been really lopsided since the Sagan deal, but I don't know that I totally expect that to continue. That said, I'm sorry, between not trusting Kessel in a playoff atmosphere and just the fact the Bruins have owned the Leafs so thoroughly the past few years, I'm going to say Boston in 5. Yeah. Yeah, my only upset pick in the East are the Rangers, and I'm not even sure if you can trust that one because it's being made by a Rangers fan. Anyway, that wraps up this edition of Hucks on Pucks. Take off, eh?